good morning, everyone. My name is Tanya, and this is my husband, Jeff.
Good morning.
And we want to welcome you to our porch, our sanctuary, where we come together and really study God's Word, and He shows up here. And so we'd like to share that with you every week. So
That's right.
hey, make sure right now we need everybody sharing this video. So that's the first thing you need to do is share this video. Don't ever keep God's Word to yourself.
That's right. Don't do it.
Don't do that. So we're going to get right into it. This week we're going to talk about if you are a consumer or if you are a producer.
That's right.
So, not in the worldly sense.
It is kind of in the worldly
Sort of.
sense. So we had talked about last week. I gave you a little tidbit on what we're going to talk about this week, and it's basically it's like seed time and harvest. And what does that mean? We're not going to talk about. It's not about tithing. It doesn't have anything to do with this. This applies to not only us as Christians, but it was a principle that was put in the earth right from the beginning of creation. So this is good. I've got an illustration here. That's kind of funny. We're using an apple.
And it's apple season where we are.
It is apple season, so that's a good thing. It doesn't have anything to do with, the Adam and Eve thing and all that. Well, we don't really know for sure. Was it actually an apple? I'm not sure. I haven't really.
She ate fruit.
She ate fruit. It just says a fruit from the wrong tree. But we're gonna use an apple as the illustration, and so we're gonna dive right in. So the first one that we want to talk about was do you have it in Genesis?
Mm-hmm. So Genesis chapter 1.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to lay some foundation. Like I said, this was a seed time and harvest. This was a principle that God had put into earth right at creation. So we're going to the beginning.
It's
in
been
Genesis,
here since the beginning
right
of
from the
time,
beginning,
and it's still here.
And it applies again. It's not just for believers.
Right. So
This is an earthly principle.
Because people that are not even saved have caught on to this.
It works this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, if you are a Christian or if you're saved, if you are born again, I think then it enhances it. It works even more.
It is part of the.
But yes, if you're not even saved, it can work for you.
Yes, it is.
So we're going to read Genesis 1, 28, 29, and really this is after God created everything. He created Adam and Eve, and then what he says in 28, it says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. Now.
Okay, so he blessed them.
Yes.
He blessed them first, but then he goes to describe the blessing that he gave them.
Which was the seed.
He blessed them, and then he says, and this is what the blessing is.
I give you every seed-bearing
fruit.
Right. Every plant, every seed-bearing plant.
Yep. For
food. Now, we can take that. We live in the New Testament, which is by grace and not the old law.
Yes.
So, but the analogy of seed still works today. It
does. It still works today. So back in that time and all that stuff, we don't think of them. They didn't have a use for money or anything like that in the sense that we do. We live in an economic world, which basically, it does revolve around money.
Right.
But then God blessed them, and they had everything that they possibly needed. So, in listening to other preachers and sermons on this week, and just basically filling our heads with all of this,
wonderful stuff.
Wonderful. I wanted to give everybody, background and something to think about. So it got me thinking when we're talking about economy and money and all this stuff. It kind of comes back where it says in the Bible that
the love of money.
it doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It doesn't
No,
say
it
that.
says
It
the
says the love of money. So, but that word root stuck out. The word root. So that means the beginning. Where, if you want to get to the root of something, you got to get to the beginning of it. Where did it start?
Right.
And that got me digging. So I wanted to know what was the root? What was the start? How did evil start in the world? Because at that time there wasn't any. So I got to looking it up, and it brought me to Ezekiel 28, and this is describing Lucifer. Okay, so Lucifer, also known as Satan, the devil.
Well, his name was
his name was Lucifer, which actually
he was an angel.
He was an angel, and his name was Lucifer. His name was Lucifer, which Lucifer actually means morning star.
Okay.
So he was. It describes him here as God made him different.
Yeah.
Than all the other angels.
Okay.
So I'm going to read just a little bit here. And like I said, it's Ezekiel 28. And I'm going to paraphrase just a little bit. This is a new King James Version, but I'm going to start in 14. And it says, "Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God, and hast walked up and down the midst of the stones of fire," which I don't know really what that is. Stones of fire. I don't know, but obviously, yeah, I want to find that out. That's just how I am. I want to find all this stuff out. But apparently it had significance because he put it in here. Okay. So it says in 15, "Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wert created until iniquity was found in thee." Okay. So 16. This is where it really hit me. It says, "By the multitude of thy merchandise." Well, when we think of merchandise, we think of what? We think of things. You know. So it says, "By thy merchandise have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned." Okay. Now, it also describes him as being covered. He had 9 gemstones. Where is that, by the way? I wonder where that is. I'm trying to think. Okay, the brightness. "Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty." Okay, so he had gemstones, and it goes on to describe the gemstones that he had, gold, all those things. And I can't find it in here anywhere.
He was covered with that. So
that another angel had any of that.
So he was an angel, almost set apart like anybody else. Didn't look like anybody else.
That's
and
right.
He saw that, and he saw how God treated him.
He saw how beautiful he was,
and how he was covered in these stones and gems and gold, which in our time cost lots of money.
And it said in there.
And so it's talking about
thy merchandise.
Okay. You know.
So Lucifer thought by all that he was clothed in and all that beauty that he saw iniquity or pride had built up in him.
Right. He started becoming very prideful.
Very prideful.
Very conceited and very,
Yes.
Like he wanted to be, and it tells us in Scripture, he wanted to
be higher than God. Set himself up higher.
So, just in that, what he wore, the merchandise, love that he saw, and having
in himself,
and having that.
Yes. So that was very.
To me, that sounds like that's where it started.
So
he
when it says that the love of money, of course, we had to put it. He had to put it in terms that we're going to understand.
Right.
Okay. They didn't have a need for money in heaven. No. Now this was in heaven, people, not here on earth. He had not been cast out yet.
So.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but but that was that. I didn't want to get sidetracked on that, but I wanted people to understand that that's where that love of money. So we're going to get back into.
But that leads into.
It does. It leads into
the being a consumer or a producer.
Or a producer.
Because the love of money, and what you hang on to, is what's most important to you. I would say.
That's right.
People, they want things and they want this and that. They're constantly thinking about how to get more money.
Yes.
And that's very prominent and I'm just going to use my family for an example. One of my brothers, being involved in drugs and selling drugs and doing drugs, he when he was put in jail and we visited him, the only thing he said was, I have to make money. I have to get out of here so I can make money. So that love, it consumed him. That love of making more money and having more consumed him.
Yes, but
And
even
it's
at
not
but even
good.
at that, even at that. So the way that was, he had nothing. He had nothing. He didn't own anything at that time.
No,
He was basically homeless, staying with other people, but that he had to. That inside of him, it was a desperate. It was so desperate. It was a desperation that I can't be in here. I have to make money, but he had nothing.
Right, and
he had nothing.
I mean, look how Satan used that
to
put on earth when he was kicked out of heaven. God said, "That's it. I've had enough." Basically.
Well,
kicked him out.
That was the.
And
that
that's
was
when
the
he fell.
root.
He said, "You will crawl on your belly for the rest of
that's it.
time. You will crawl," and that was it.
So again, that's where that root came from, and that's why Satan uses that so strong. He uses that so strong because that's where it came up in him.
Right. Now we live in an economic world.
We do.
Obviously, and now our times where we have to have money. Or credit cards, whatever people use.
Whatever it may be.
To purchase things. And so he's still using that today.
He does.
He used that from the time he was kicked out of heaven all the way through the Old Testament. Go back and read it.
Again, the
he
root.
He used that. Yeah.
The root. So you have some scriptures.
Well, I was just going to mention
that you want to read on some sowing and reaping and harvest time and all that. So we're going to read that, and then I'm going to get to my illustration with the apple.
Well, I'm just going to mention them to you because there's quite a few.
Okay.
So you can go and look them up, but this is talking about the principle of sowing and reaping. And this is all New Testament. Jesus talking about it. He illustrated it. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's very important. Sowing
is very important.
And reaping, or what do we call it? Seed time and harvest.
Yes.
Okay. So it's 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 6. You can go to Luke chapter 6 and 38, and then you can go to Matthew chapter 13 verse 24. And all of that we'll talk about, and there's lots more, but those are just a few you can go look up. We're not making this stuff up.
No.
It's in the Bible.
It's right here in the Bible.
But Satan uses money and the seeds, and so you want to, or he uses money, but the seed time and harvest. This illustration we got from another pastor, an awesome pastor, when we were watching the conference, and we were like, "This is a great illustration."
So you have to look at this. If God was to give you an apple a day, and this was your provision, so you have to look at this kind of like your paycheck kind of thing. This is what you get every week. So are you gonna take this and you're gonna consume everything that you can consume off of this, and then discard what's inside of this? Now, an apple.
It's what's inside.
It's what's inside that's important because, okay, so there's seeds in the apple.
Right.
All right. We don't know how many. Okay, but
I think it's anywhere from
5 to 10 seeds in here. Now I can count how many seeds are in this apple, but I can't count how many apples are in a seed.
Yeah.
Okay, so that illustration was basically if you cut the apple open.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see.
So we're going to cut the apple open. Now I'm not really going to count how many seeds are here and all this. I'm trying not to cut myself. with his
Yeah, so are you
with
going
his
to eat
knife.
just that and be satisfied with just
That and
that
wait
and
and
throw
wait
the
for
rest
your
away?
and wait for your next apple to come,
right? And wait for
Or-
your next apple, or are you going to put it to work?
or are you going to put the apple to work? So that's like, so you take the seeds in the apple and plant them.
Right.
Now, it's not going to happen immediately. You're not going to get an apple tree in a day. Okay, but the seeds in here, they only know how to do one thing, and that's grow.
They produce after their own kind.
Okay. So the seeds only know to do one thing, and that's to grow. So
Right.
if you were given this apple, and you were going to get one a day, okay, every single day, you know that this apple was going to be there, and you just consume what you can and throw the rest of it away, which basically you're eating, I guess you could say, the meat of the apple or whatever, but then you discard the seeds. How many apples are you throwing away?
Right.
Okay, so you plant your seeds in the ground.
Yeah, so just
You
take
wait
the
some
seeds
time.
and plant
You're gonna have more apples than you could possibly eat.
Because when you plant one seed or 5 seeds, it then produces a tree. Okay,
A tree.
But how many apples are on those trees? So
We
now
don't know.
you have multiplied.
There
You're
might
reaping
be.
a harvest from the seeds that you have
Yeah.
sown.
Yes, exactly. So what we're saying to you people is
Is
take if you take a little bit of what God's given you, okay, and not just consume everything that you have,
right.
but take a portion of that of what He's given you and sow it.
Right. So a lot of one of the, and that can be, it can be money, it can be time, it can be things. We've learned if there's a need in your life, sow it.
Sow
If you
a
have
seed
a
for
need,
it.
sow a seed, is what we say all
Yes.
the time.
The
Okay?
need is in your seed.
The need is in your seed. So if you are desiring to purchase a new home in your life, and you know, well, what do you need to do? Well, are you helping somebody else with their home? Do you help them with things that they might need? We're going to their home and helping them cut their grass. So okay, so you're investing. It's like investing your time, okay, or things or money into something somebody else has, something that you need. It's not that you're coveting it. It's just that you are sowing into them.
Yes.
So you can reap the harvest of what you sowed. Does
So-
that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
So what this illustration taught me too, and you say, you know, well, you know, it's about money. Yes, it is, and we're going back to, again, how is this principle put in the earth, and how does it only, you know, some people say, oh, that only works for
For
Christians or wealthy or
whoever,
or whatever.
higher up,
But
whatever.
But this is what I'm saying. So how is it that people in acting or
Yeah, a lot of big
professional
actors
professional
or
athletes,
athletes.
people that win the lottery, you know, things like that. So again, it's a principle that was put in the earth. So you hear of all these celebrities. If there's a disaster or something like that, there's a flood or something, give $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, and they give $1 million. You know, and you wonder, well, why is it that they keep getting back?
Giving, well, because they
keep giving.
And that's right.
They're
So the
sowing.
more
They don't
give,
even.
they're
They
sowing.
don't even realize. And these are non-Christians. They don't even realize what they're doing. But how can the same athlete come into a lot of money, okay, and they just consume it and they end up broke?
Right. Well, because they didn't.
Because they didn't put a principle to
sowing
work.
into others, giving to others.
That's right. Same thing. People win the lottery. Well, how did they go broke in
I used to wonder that years ago.
a matter of a year or 2 years or whatever, because they just
consumed it all.
consume it.
It was about
They're not-
them instead of loving on others, which the Bible calls us to love.
Yes.
So if you love others, you're going to help others. You want to give to others. You want to, help. That there is a scripture, Galatians, and this is one of my main scriptures, that if you don't give up doing good at the right time, if you don't give up doing good. Well, what's good? Helping others, sowing into others, loving others. If you don't give up doing good, you will reap a harvest at just the right time.
Yes.
So
God gave us the ability to basically create our own. I don't necessarily want to say. I don't want to say a destiny kind of thing, but He gave us the ability to make our own way. Okay, which means we have the ability to do whatever it is. We're not held back by anything. We're not held back. It's us that holds ourselves back.
Right.
You know, whether it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what it is.
And I hear a lot of people that are like, "Well, I don't have anything to sow." Everybody's got something.
Everybody
to
has
sow.
something.
I don't care if you sow. You know, people have done this too at church. You've got something. You know, if there's a need, they sow a seed, and they might sow jewelry. They might sow. I don't care if it's
clothes.
a pencil. It's
clothes. A pair of shoes.
A pair of shoes.
You know, I mean,
whatever it is.
Whatever it may
I remember
be.
when I gave jewelry away. Okay, I felt that, you know, this person wanted something that I had. They loved what this necklace I had, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it to her. So I gave it to her, and 3 months later, I received an abundance, an overflow of jewelry that was given to me. I sewed jewelry.
Yeah.
A few months. Now, it didn't happen right away. Again, it's
No.
like the tree for the
Yeah.
apple. It doesn't grow right away and harvest right away.
Seeds have to grow.
Yeah, and we know an example of a pastor that sewed tennis shoes into somebody, and then it was like several months later, he was all of a sudden,
He
if
was
somebody had
given-
just brought him a bunch of new, like, high-class tennis shoes, we're talking Nike tennis shoes and everything. He didn't ask for them, and they didn't know that he'd sew. But God knows your heart. That's the whole key. God
That's right.
knows what you're doing.
Yep.
You know, just because you can't physically see Him, He knows what you're doing. So, are you consuming everything that you have in your life, and you can't figure out how come you can't get ahead in life?
That's
You
right.
probably need to check yourself.
If
Check your heart.
If you are satisfied, if you're satisfied with your one apple a day, consuming it and throwing away hundreds and thousands of apples by discarding something that you can't consume.
Let me put it in this way. You ready for this?
Okay.
That apple, when you cut it open, in today's time, every seed was money. A $5 bill, a $10 bill, a $1 bill.
So this,
I guarantee you, people would not throw the seeds away.
So this apple right here, I went to the store this morning. It was $3.79 for a pound of these apples. All right. So in a pound, I might have got 4 of these apples. But in 4 apples, how many apples are in there? Or in the apple seed?
Right.
So if I was to plant these in time, how many apples would I get out of that? How much money is sitting in this apple? Because I just paid whatever it was for these apples.
You might have paid $4 total with the tax and everything.
So we'll say this apple was $1.
Okay.
But
But
studies.
there's 5
There's
seeds.
5 seeds
and
in
each
this
seed
apple.
is $1. Well, that's $5. But you plant those seeds, and those seeds produce hundreds
of apples. That's hundreds of dollars.
That's hundreds of dollars. Which then you plant more seeds, which now you're going, you know, even to thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you looked at it like us, like a lot of people look at things, these days is money. You would not be throwing them seeds away. You would be planting them if you knew.
If you knew,
you can reap a harvest from them of more of whatever it is.
So again, this is we're using the apple as an illustration of money. You know, it's the same thing with what you make.
Time. You can sow your time, or things. You can sow into ministries, sow into people.
Yes.
You know.
But just know, God gave us the ability. This was a gift. The seeds were a gift to produce more than what He had just given to us. Okay.
And the Bible tells us you reap what you sow, and that is true in everything. You know, if you speak negative, you'll hear negative. You'll reap negative. If you give, you'll give back, and the amount that you give is in the amount that you get back, and that is in the scriptures I gave you earlier. Go read it.
So go read it, and this is what's coming up next. Now this doesn't have anything to do with tithing. Okay, but
tithing is very important.
But I want to use this as an illustration. So I've already cut the apple in half, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to just take a little slice off of this. Okay. Now, this being a whole apple, okay, and I just took a small portion out of it. Looks delicious. But this small portion right here is what God commanded his people to take out, and he called it his. So, and we're going to call that, in the Bible it says it's a tenth.
Which is a tithe.
A tenth of that apple, this little bit right here, is all that he asked for back. Okay, you get the rest. There's no seed in this. He didn't ask for our seeds. He asked for a tenth of what I gave you, right?
Yeah.
He left all the seeds in here for us.
Absolutely.
Okay, to plant.
Yeah.
That's what he gave us. So he's asking for this tenth, and if you give me this, I'm going to protect this. I'm going to put protection over this. I'll rebuke the devourer, so Satan can't come in here and eat up everything you got because you gave me this.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
And I mean, that's not a whole lot that
No,
you require.
this exactly. So
Yeah.
that's for another hour porch. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to talk
Stay
about
tuned.
the tithe, but I want you to understand the illustration of this and this little bit. So we've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We don't mean to rush.
We're getting ready to start up.
We got a big race today going to go on
so
back
we're
here
gonna
at the
go.
track.
They've got something going on really big today.
Yes.
But make sure that you like and share and love this video. Again, don't keep God's word to yourself. You should never. We've got a lot of people that tell us that they enjoy it. They watch it every week, and we are so very thankful. However,
Here I am consuming that little bit.
some of them are not sharing. I'm just saying, and if that's you,
So I'm going to cut off another
Okay.
section here, and I'm going to leave this alone because this
so
isn't mine.
as he eats.
First fruits.
As he eats. You guys have an awesome week, and make sure you share.